Hi, I'm Darylyn Brewster from the Washington-Centerville Public Library, and today we are presenting Great Expectations, which are reviews about new books that are coming out that you can place on hold through the Washington-Centerville Public Library. The first book that I'd like to tell you about is The Love Story of Missy Carmichael by Beth Murray. This is a debut novel, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. So Missy Carmichael is a 79-year-old librarian, and she is a mother of two. This story is actually a coming-of-age story for Missy. Yes, I know she's 79, and it sounds funny that it's her coming-of-age story, but outside of work and being a mother and wife, she didn't take time for herself. So this changes when she meets two strangers and their spirited dog, Bob, who break her out of her shell. And she begins to love and trust them. And as she shows her love and realizes that she still has something left to give to her community, to her friends, and even to herself, she learns to love herself. This is a wonderful story. I hope you enjoy it. This title is The Return by Rachel Harrison. It was released March 24th and is available in print format and ebook format from Overdrive. This is the story of a reunion of a missing, presumed dead woman and her three best friends, which leads to hair-raising horror and pure entertainment in Harrison's haunting and chilling debut novel. When Julie disappears, Elise is the only one among all their friends who refuses to accept that she's most likely dead. Elise is proven correct when Julie reappears 2 years later and claims to have no memory of the time since she vanished. Overjoyed, their other two best friends, May and Molly, organize a trip to upstate New York to try and reconnect. But when the friends arrive in this isolated, extravagant hotel, they're disturbed to find Julie is a changed woman. Julie is emaciated, she's pale, and she's very cold to the touch. Even more disturbing is how Julie went from being a vegetarian to a person who not only likes meat, but prefers her meat bloody. As Julie's behavior goes from odd to troubling and then to absolutely terrifying, the friends begin to ask themselves, what happened to the Julie they used to know? This debut is suspenseful. It's a thriller with just a touch of supernatural horror. If you enjoy books that have psychological suspense, I think you'll love this book. Hi, the next title I want to tell you about is The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Was released March 3rd. It was released in ebook and print book format. Sarah J. Maas is one of my favorite authors. I found her last year, I think, and read everything she's written. So this is the first book in a new series by Sarah J. Maas. The series is called Crescent City. Maas writes fantasy novels that are filled with adventure, strong female characters. She does great character development, and it's probably why I enjoy it so much. And there's usually a bit of romance buried in the depth of the stories. This one happens to be about Bryce Quinlan. Bryce had a great life. She worked hard, she played hard, she partied hard, probably partied a little too much. The only thing not great about her life was her relationship with her biological father. Her biological father disowned her when he discovered she had little magical ability. On the other hand, she had a great mom and a fantastic stepfather, both who loved her dearly, and she had fantastic friends. So when her closest friends are murdered by a demon, she is left bereft and alone and ridden with guilt. They put the person who murdered them in jail, and 2 years later, when similar murders begin to happen, they realize that there was a mistake. Bryce will do anything to avenge her friend's death. She is actually paired with a fallen angel, Hunt Athalar, who has been enslaved by Archangel, so he has to do their bidding. And they want him to help her investigate the murders of her friends. He can't refuse when he's asked to help, so he does. But the archangels sweeten the deal and say if he does indeed help her find the murderer, then his sentence will be reduced. He'll actually be freed in a short amount of time. So this is an exciting fantasy novel filled with lots of adventure. There's betrayal. There's heartache. There's loss. And it also looks at the price of freedom and the power of love to save us. I just finished it. It is a story that I liked a lot. If you enjoy fantasy novels, this should be one you're going to enjoy. Hi, the next book I'm going to tell you about is The Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. Its release date is April 7th, and it's also available in ebook format. Veronica Roth is best known for her young adult Intense is actually a mega bestseller, the Divergent series. I'm sure you've heard of it. And she's making a change into adult fiction, and her first book in a new series is called Chosen Ones. What happens to heroes after they save the world? Sloane Andrews, Matthew Weeks, Esther Park, Albert Summers, and Inez Meja fulfilled a prophecy by defeating an evil villain, and they saved the human race. But that was a decade ago. The Chosen, the 5 teens responsible for the Dark One's downfall, gave everything they had to defeat him. After the Dark One fell, the world went back to normal for everyone but them. After all, what do you do when you're the most famous people on Earth? Your only education was in magical destruction, and your purpose in life is now fulfilled. Unfortunately, not everyone can move on. Sloane is plagued by PTSD and a feeling that she already accomplished everything she can accomplish. But when one of the Chosen dies, the remaining 4 begin to understand that maybe the Dark One might not be vanquished. So this is a fantastic new series by Veronica Roth. If you like fantasy and a little dystopian books, you'll probably like this one a lot. Our next title that we're going to look at is All Adults Here by Emma Straub, which will be released May 5th in regular hardback and also as an ebook on Overdrive. When Astrid Strick witnesses a school bus run over a longtime acquaintance, Barbara Baker, a woman she actually doesn't like very much, it's only the beginning of the shakeups set to come her way. Astrid has been content. She's a 68-year-old widow with 3 grown children. After many years of being a single parent, she's been quietly seeing someone on the side, Bertie Gonzalez, who is her hairdresser. She's been seeing her for 2 years, and she hasn't told her children. But in the back of her mind, Astrid wonders, I might get hit by a bus. I probably ought to let my children know. So this leads us to Elliot, her oldest child, who is married with 2 children who are quite a handful. Actually, Astrid calls them hellions that you have to stay on top of, otherwise they're going to steal everything in the house. They're still little kids. Astrid's daughter, Porter, owns a nearby farm, and she has just gotten pregnant through a sperm donor while she's having an affair with her married high school boyfriend. And then she has Nicky, her youngest son, who is disconcertingly famous for having appeared in an era-defining movie when he was younger, and he lives in Brooklyn with his French wife Juliette and their daughter Cecilia, who's being shipped up to live with Astrid after her friend got mixed up with a pedophile she met online. Astrid is wondering, did how I raised them make a difference in how they raise their own children? And she's trying to figure out who decides which lapses that she made in parenting were the ones that mattered. And can the apologies that she makes make up for the mistakes she made in the past? This book is warm, it's funny, it's a perceptive novel about the life cycle of one family. It talks about as the kids become parents and the grandchildren become teenagers, and Astrid, the matriarch, begins to confront the legacy of her mistakes. Can she make a difference now? Is it too late? The next story I want to talk to you about is The Lies That Bind by Emily Giffin. It comes out June 23rd. It will be available on ebook through Overdrive as well. In The Lies That Bind, it's 2 a.m. on a Saturday night in the spring of 2001, and Cecily Gardner is sitting alone in a dive bar, questioning her life. She's from the Midwest, she's homesick, she just broke up with her longtime boyfriend. She came to the city to be a big news reporter, and that hasn't really worked out for her so far. And she's also wondering if she made a horrible mistake when she broke up with her boyfriend. And just as she reaches for her phone and decides to call her boyfriend, she hears the man on the bar stool next to her say, "Don't do it. You'll just regret it." And for some unknown reason, she listens, and over the next several hours, Cicely and the stranger Grant forge an unlikely connection. The two can't seem to say goodbye, and for the first time in her life, Cicely decides to follow her heart instead of her head. When Grant disappears in the chaos of September 11th, fearing the worst, Cicely spots his face on a missing person poster and realizes she's not the only one who's looking for him. Her reporter instincts kick in, and she vows to learn the truth. How well did she really know Grant? Did he ever really love her? And is it possible to love a man who wasn't the man you thought he was? The Lies That Bind is a mesmerizing exploration of the never-ending search for love and truth in our relationships, our careers, and even within our own hearts. Thanks for listening.